Hello everyone, welcome to this video. My name is Amitabh, a final year student and AWS community builder in a containers category. In this video, we are going to learn about Amazon Route 53, and by the end of this video, you will see how you can attach an existing domain to the Route 53 and create an application host on EC2 instance and route a traffic from the Route 53 on a proper domain to that EC2 instance application. And you will also see what are the routing policies for the Route 53. So without any delay, let's get started. So you might be thinking, what is Amazon Route 53? It is a reliable way to route user to your internet application, which is a web application or your website, and it is basically a domain name system, AWS service, which is highly available and scalable. And if you talk about what are included into the Route 53, there is a domain name. You can register a domain and attach an existing domain that you have in GoDaddy, Namecheap, and the other platform, and you can create a hosted zone where you want to respond your DNS queries for the domain, and even you can perform a health check of the multiple domains. You can monitor your application and web resources with a DNS queries with the health checks, and even you can manage the traffic flow, and there is a DNS resolver that resolve your DNS queries between your VPC and your network. And the features is highly available and the reliable, and it is designed for use with other AWS services, not like other GoDaddy domain and the other platform domain. You can use the CNAME and the A record and the alias. So there is alias feature in the Route 53 that is recommended by AWS to use the alias for the AWS related services. Like if you have the load balancer URL, use the alias, not the CNAME, as the CNAME is used to route the traffic to the another domain, and A record is to for the IP based routing. Okay. And it is very simple to use and flexible, and use case are included as a global traffic management, and as I mentioned, alias to AWS resources. If you have to use the AWS resources to route traffic, you should use the alias. And pricing, you can check the pricing, and for the pricing I have to mention one thing, that if you are registering a new domain on the Route 53, that is this part, if you are registering a domain that is going to cost you real money. It is not covered in AWS credit. If you are a community builder, you have credit. It is not covered in that credit also, or any type of AWS credit. It is totally going to chargeable on your debit card and the credit card. It is not free. So make sure you register a domain by knowing this, and it will charge you around $15 that we can purchase another domain on another platform. So you can register a domain if you have to pay that money, and you can configure health check, transfer domain if you have, and create a hosted zone. For now, we will create a hosted zone as we have a existing domain on the GoDaddy. We will go to that and create a hosted zone. So we will name the domain that I have. So I have the domain amitabh.cloud, and I will create a public hosted zone, and it is both for the internet, not for the VPCs. So you can see we have created a hosted zone for our existing domain that I have on the GoDaddy. You can see this is the domain I have. And if we see what are the name server, so we have to provide the name server in the GoDaddy. We have to replace that existing name server in the GoDaddy with the provided this name servers. After that only we can able to use the and route the traffic using the Amazon Route 53, until if it is not updated in the platform that we have the existing domain, we cannot use the Route 53 for the hosting application and the routing traffic. So we will copy the each name server that we have provided for this public hosted zone, and we will go to the domain, and in domain we have to go to the DNS, and DNS we have to go inside the name server, and we have to change the name server. And now if we click on I use my own server, I will paste each name server one by one, remove the dot after end of this domain, and now we will paste other four. and one by one we will add all the 4 DNS name servers. So it will resolve our request on this name server on the Route 53, and this is a necessary step. If you don't do it, you cannot use the Route 53 for the existing domain. You have to create and register the new domain, and it will cost you. So click on continue. So you can see we have created a request to update our name server, and if I refresh, you can see our name server is updated. So it will typically take a 5 minute of time to update it. Until it is going to take a time, we will launch a EC2 instance and host a application on that. Okay, so we will click on launch EC2 instance, and we will name it as the route 53 EC2, and we will select the Ubuntu and the T2 micro, and we will select the nothing key pair, as we will use the EC2 instance connect if you want to use, and we will allow the HTTP and the HTTPS access as it going to query the domain. So we will use the 15 GB of storage, and we will deploy one Nginx application using the user data that we had talked about in the start. So we have provided the user data as we are updating the system, installing the Nginx, and starting the Nginx service, and enabling the Nginx service to start on the boot of the EC2 instance. And next is we are appending one text heading to the index.html where the Nginx web page is stored. So it will replace that, and we will see this text on the web server. So this is our custom application, and we will launch the EC2 instance. And once the EC2 instance is running, we will see and check whether the application of Nginx is running or not with a custom heading. So we will see that, and we will wait for the DNS around the 5 minutes to resolve that query. It will take around 5 minutes, and in the worst case it will going to take 24 hours to resolve your queries. So wait for 5 minutes around, and if you see whether the instance is running, so you can see instance is running. If I check with the IP address, so this is the IP and the port is 80. Let's see whether the Nginx is running or not. I will continue to this side, and so it is still running the EC2 instance, and the user data is not finished. So we will wait for that. So you can see our application is running. This is just that icon that we are using, rocket icon. So this is our custom application that we have hosted on EC2 instance. And now we will route a traffic on a real domain like nginx.amitabh.cloud to route a traffic on this IP. So user will type the domain, and it will resolve a query on this IP, as we are using the domain name system a web service of AWS. So this is the IP, and now we have waited a lot of time. Now we will create a record. So here I have to cover about the routing policy. So this is a simple routing. It will show all the responses to all the users with the same response. So in a weighted routing policy, we will provide a percentage amount of traffic that will see a response 1, and the percentage amount of traffic which will see the response 2, and the geolocation is based on the location base. You will route a traffic on the location base, and the latency, even you can create a latency based routing policy to route a traffic on the nearest center of the AWS, whether user can only see the response that have the less latency, and it will improve the performance of the website. And you can even check the failover if the one response is failing to redirect to the standby of the domain. And even we have the multi answer. You can save up to 8 multi-value answer of the routing policy. So if you query the nginx.amitabh.cloud, it will provide a 8 available answer, 8 available responses for that. And even we have the IP based and the geo proximity. So you can read about other two, and we will go to the simple routing, and we will use the domain as nginx, and we will use the A record type, and we will copy the public IP of that EC2 instance where our Nginx application is running, and we will paste here. And view the TTL. Talking about TTL is time to leave. How much time it will take you to clear the cache of the response that website a DNS query has written. So if you check the 24 hours, so it will take 24 hours to update a next request, so that a DNS server cannot get be overloaded. So this is used to cache the response. And if your user is not getting a new UI look of your application, this is a primary issue of the TTL. If you have set the TTL to the longer time, it will take a longer time to show the response, a new response to that user. So make sure you reduce the TTL and see whether it updates or not. And we will create the record. And once the record is created, we will check the status is in sync or not. So it is in a pending status, and we will wait for the couple of time. So you can see this is now in a sync. And if you go to the public hosted zone, this is our hosted zone, and we have added one record called nginx amitabh.cloud. Okay, so this is nginx.amitabh.cloud, and we will open the incognito mode and type the http. It might take time, but still if I go to that URL, so you can see we can able to see the application that we have hosted on the EC2 instance on the public domain. You can see this is the domain. So that's a work of the Route 53 that you can use for. And similarly, we can do with the GoDaddy also. But this is the AWS manage. We have a lot of things there. You can register a domain, a real domain, and purchase like a purchase we do in on the GoDaddy. So you can see how we are routing a traffic to the domain for that EC2 application we have hosted on. And this is very easy. You can use it, and even you can create a health check. So you can check whether the EC2 instance is running or not. You can simply click on create health check. And if I name it as a test health check, and endpoint will be IP address. So I will choose the resource as the endpoint, and will be the HTTP, and we will copy the public IP of that EC2 instance, and port will be okay, port will be 80, and path will be slash, and we will remove the HTTP. And this is our health check, and I will create a health check. So it will regularly monitor whether the EC2 instance is running with our application or not. So if you want to check whether it is healthy or not, you can wait for a couple of seconds, and it will show you whether it is healthy or not. So we will wait for some seconds, and we will see it is healthy or unhealthy. So you can see now our application in the healthy status. The health check is passed, as a current status will be the healthy. And if you want to make a unhealthy status so that a route traffic is not go to that EC2 instance, you can create a failover routing policy. Once the one health check is unhealthy, it will redirect to the failover of the another healthy status of the EC2 instance where our another application of same version is running. So this is how you can use the Route 53 for the general purpose. If you are registering a new domain, make sure you will pay a real money. It will cost me around $15. So it will also cost you around $15 if you register a new domain. And it is recommended if you have existing domain, use that like I have done here. So if you have to register, you can click on register domain and register a domain that you wanted if it is available. Similarly, you can use the hosted zone if you have to attach the existing domain that I have done in this video. So it is a dashboard about the Route 53. If you want to check, you can see where this is have the one hosted zone, one health check, and even you can create a traffic policy. If you have money, you can register a domain. And talking about how to clear all thing we have done, simply first destroy the EC2 instance. I will terminate it. Once the EC2 instance is terminated, our health check is going to be unhealthy. So in a failover, we create multiple health check, and on a multiple EC2 instance, And once the one health check is unhealthy, it will redirect to the another healthy status of the EC2 instance. So I will destroy the everything. So for that, I will once go to the hosted zone and delete first the record that I have created, and I have deleted that record. And if I go to the hosted zone again and select this, and simply I can click on delete and I will delete it. Okay, so our hosted zone is deleted. And if I go to the health check, so there is one health check. I have to select that. I think go to inside that health check, and in health check you can delete it. So this is how you can clear everything in a Route 53. So it will doesn't cost you anything. And if you want to reverse your name server in GoDaddy, you can simply go to the DNS name server, change name server, and the GoDaddy has a feature to use the GoDaddy name server, which is recommended by them. So save it. So it will host the initial application that you have hosted on the name server of the GoDaddy. So this is all about the Route 53 and the DNS part. So that's all for this video. I hope you learned something new in this video. मिलते हैं next video में, तब तक के लिए जय हिंद, bye.